Hello everyone, welcome to GPAT Pharmacy Study Circle channel. Today I will discuss about pharmaceutical engineering subtopic in mixing and homogenization. Mixing and homogenization, right? It's a very important topic in pharmaceutical engineering, and simply you can understand and GPAT oriented and NIPER and any competitive pharmacy related competitive exams are it's very helpful. This chapter, this section chapter more than equipments in there. I can easily can understand the simply each every slide. I can detail the explain short term, right? So let's start the class today. What is the meaning of mixing and homogenization? Okay, what is the meaning of homogenization? Right, mixing may be defined a unit that aims to treat two or more components. The simple you can term definition, it's very simply mixing may be defined a unit that aims to treat two or more components. Two or more components, it can mixing. Okay, this is called mixing and homogenization. Okay, see, initially any unmixed and partially mixed state, each unit particles molecule of the components lies as nearly as possible in contact with a unit of each other components. Okay, initially in unmixed substances and unmixed sum of soluble content, right? Pharmaceutically, it's a simple example. Feed, you can ready to the tablets, you can some of the feed in mixing to helpful of homogenization equipments in this chapter. Okay, this is called mixing and homogenization. Will be mixing helpful in homogenization equipments, the totally based on mixing any properties, like example there particles or any molecules and components. These are all homogenization equipments depends on. Okay, next, application of mixing. Mixing is an intermediate stage in the preparation of several dosage forms. Mixing an intermediate stage in the preparation of several dosage forms. Okay, dosage forms, semi-solid dosage forms, ointments, lotions, tablets, capsules. Okay, many examples in pharmaceutical surroundings. Okay, next, wet mixing in the granulation step in the production of tablet. Wet mixing, you can simply term of dry mixing and wet mixing. Not mixing in dry powders. Okay, only for wet grinding mixing. Wet mixing in the granulation step in the production of tablet. We can choose the tablet preparation in the pharmaceutical industrial pharmacy 1. How to prepare the tablet, you can use simply terms. Wet mixing in used of tablet. Wet mixing, it's a more than wet nature. You can same term, you can some take the talc powder. It's a one type of the ingredient. Some of ingredients HPMC, hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose, CMC, acetyl methyl cellulose, for example, like etc. Okay, wet mixing in the granulation to the grinding. This is a process of grinding. Grinding is a properly and mixing all ingredients. It's helpful of homogenization. Okay, example like simply briefly in tablets. This is applications of mixing. Okay, see, upper position feed inside in the equipment and sit Impact ring. Impact mean depend on force, impact forces involved in this equipment. And homogenized product. Homogenized product, it's a single particle. Homogenized product, single particles, it's difference. Valve, it's a depend helpful of the feed in mixing. Valve is cylindrically position, it's helpful in upper position, feed inside the equipment. It's a impact force. Impact force, it's helpful of both mixing and feed. This is called mixing. Okay, see next one. For a dilution of potential active drugs, next one, type types of mixers. Similarly, you can get ready to any tablets or capsules, like any substance you can mixing. Types of mixers. Okay, types of mixing, right? Positive mixer, negative mixer, neutral. Positive and positive mixer, negative mixers, neutral. Positive mixer, it is irreversible mixing and form in gases and miscible liquid by diffusion process. Irrefusible mixing and formed from gases and miscible liquid by diffusion process. Diffusion, what's the meaning of diffusion? High to low concentration, higher concentration to the lower concentration. It's a positive mixer helpful. It is easily formed. Positive mixer is any get ready preparation to the mixing of any feed, it can easily formed. Example like mixing of gases, miscible liquids. Next, negative mixer, it requires energy for mixing and difficult to prepare. Difficult to prepare. Okay, difficult to prepare. In example, emulsions, suspensions. Emulsions and suspensions, oil by water solution, water by oil solutions, like emulsifying agents. Also suspensions, lotions, creams, ointments, etc. Next one, neutral. Neutral is a equal stage. Neutral means equal stage. It is neither mixing or dismixing, means no tendency to mix spontaneously or to segregate when mixed. Neutrally helpful of both mixing or neither demixing. To tendency mix spontaneous or do segregate when mixed. Totally mixed. Do not mix. Neutrally do not mix. Example, ointments, pastes. Okay. Next one, types of mixing. Types of mixing. Solid to solid mixing and liquid to liquid mixing. Next, mixing and immiscible liquids, solid and liquid mixing. There are different types of mixers. Depend on substance. Like any liquid or solid. Okay, depends on, it's easily mixing. Like example, that homogeneous or non-homogeneous milk. Okay, solid mixing and liquid mixing, mixing and immiscible liquids, solid liquid mixing. Okay, these are all types of mixing. Next in instruments, this use of homogenization, what helps in mixing homogenization. Instruments what help in pharmaceutical industry role. Okay, one by one I will discuss every instrument and simply instrument details and principle and simply uses. One sentence I tell the only one sentence. Okay, next, see, homogenization means helpful of mixing in feed. What type of equipments in used in pharmaceutical industries. First, solid and solid mixing instruments, liquid mixing, mixing of semi solids. Okay, solid mixing instruments, twin shell blender and V cone blender. Next, double cone blender. Third one, ribbon blender. Fourth, sigma blade mixer. Fifth, planetary mixer. Sixth, zigzag continuous blender. Seventh, barley type continuous mixer. These are all solid mixing instruments in homogenization. Next one, liquid and liquid mixing, liquid to liquid mixing. Instruments what are there? Hair jet mixer, Selversion mixer emulsifier, colloidal mill, ultrasonic emulsifiers, raposonic homogenizer. These are all liquid to liquid mixing used in homogenization of instruments and equipments. Okay, last one, mixing of semi solids. Red pill roller mill. These are all instruments used in pharmaceutical industries, and simply solid to solid mixing instruments, liquid to liquid mixing of semi solid. These are types of mixing. Okay, I will start the solid to solid mixing instrument. Starting one, briefly explain simple term words. Okay, simple term words you can remember shortcut easily this slide. Okay, let's start the solid to solid mixing instruments in homogenization. Right, first one, solid to solid mixing instrument, twin shell blender, V cone blender. Principle, smaller models, 20 kgs rotate in 35 rotation per minute. Larger model, 1 ton 15 rotation per minute. Material undergo tumbling motion. What are the uses of twin shell blender and V cone blender in equipment? Pharmaceuticals, blending active pharmaceutical ingredients APIs with excipients to prepare tablets or formulations, capsules and other solid dosage forms. Another one, food industries are also used, nutraceuticals are used, chemical industries, mixing chemicals and pigments and other powders. This is helpful of twin shell blender and V cone blender used in industry, pharma industries, helpful in this equipment. Okay, next instrument, double cone blender. What is this double cone blender? Principle, 30 to 100 rotation per minute. Mixing occurs due to the tumbling. What the uses of double cone blender? For homogeneous mixing of powders and granules, homogeneous mixing and dry powders and granules in various industries like pharmaceutical industries, food industries, chemical industries or cosmetics. Okay, this is called double cone blender instrument. See the next one, ribbon blender. Principle, shear is transferred to powder bed by moving blades in a fixed shell. Heft shear rates are effective in breaking lumps and aggregates. What the uses of ribbon blender? Mix finely divided solids, wet mass, sticky and plastic solids, liquid solid and solid to solid, solid to solid. This is called ribbon blender. Okay, see the next instrument in solid to solid mixing, sigma blade mixer. What principle followed in sigma blade mixer? Higher shear and kneading action The material also moves top to downwards and gets sheared between the blades and the wall of the tough, resulting cascading action. Okay, what uses of sigma blade mixer? Kneading of highly viscous mass and stick and duff like products. Okay, duff like products. Next instrument, planetary mixer. Planetary mixer. What principle of planetary mixer? Shear is applied between a moving blade and a stationary. Okay, planetary mixer. What uses of planetary mixer? Produce precious blends in addition to breakdown of agglomerates rapidly. Agglomerates rapidly. See the next slide. Zigzag continuous blender. Zigzag continuous blender. Which principle involved in zigzag continuous blender? In a zigzag type continuous mixer, the rotating shell having several V-shaped blenders, which keeps the material under tumbling action. What uses of zigzag continuous blender? For homogeneous mixing of dry powders or granules for pharmaceutical, food, chemical industries and cosmetic products, right? Next one, barrel type continuous mixer. What principle involved in barrel type continuous mixer? Tumbling motion. Okay, what uses of barrel type continuous mixer? Homogeneous mixing of dry powders or granules and small amount of powders, right? Next, solid to solid mixing instruments and equipments finished. Let's start the liquid to liquid mixing equipments. Liquid to liquid mixing equipments. First one, hair jet mixer. What principle involved in hair jet mixer? Compressed hair jets are passed from the bottom. What uses of liquid to liquid mixing equipments? Liquid of low viscosity and non-foaming, non-reactive with gas are mixed by using hair jet mixer. Okay, this is called liquid mixing equipments. See the next slide. Jet mixer. What involved principle in jet mixer? The liquid to be mixed are pumped separately into a jet mixer are different velocities and thus mixing is achieved. What uses of jet mixer? The jet mixer system provides fast powder mixing and complete protection of powder properties. The efficient mixing of powders into liquids is a crucial step in profitably biopharmaceutical manufacturing. Okay, this is called jet mixer and principle and uses in pharmaceutical industry role. Okay, next instrument in liquid to liquid mixer, silver mixer emulsifier. Silver mixer emulsifier. Okay, what's the principle involved in silver mixer emulsifier? Intense shearing forces and turbulency by the use to high speed rotors. Okay, what are the uses of silver mixer emulsifier? Preparation of emulsion and creams of fine particles size. Okay, this is called silver mixer emulsifier. Okay, next slide. Ultrasonic emulsifiers in Rapasonic homogenizer. Okay, it's a this instrument and equipment normally our colleges labs are using ultrasonic vibrations in you can depth detail in 4-1 semester in pharmaceutical analysis. 2, it's a uses of to get ready to prepare in TLC thick layer chromatography and chromatographies and spectroscopies are like more than you can use in this equipment in a pharmaceutical analysis role main functioning in pharmaceutical analysis. Okay, what's the instrument and ultrasonic emulsifier and rapasonic homogenizer. Okay, what principle involved in this equipment? Liquid is subject to ultrasonic vibration. It consists of a pump driven by a motor. What uses of ultrasonic emulsifiers and radiosonic homogenizer? Used for batch or for continuous process, it has the capacity to produce dispersed globules of 1 micron size. Okay, ultrasonic emulsifiers in radiosonic homogenizer, it's helpful in uses in this equipment and industrial pharmacy sector. Also our colleges and pharmaceutical analysis, it's a main important role. Okay, this is called ultrasonic emulsifier, right? Next, mixing of semi solids and equipments. Mixing of semi solids, beginning stage, solid to solid mixing instruments are already discussed, and liquid to liquid mixing discussed. Finally, mixing and semi solids, mixing of semi solids. Okay, which instrument used in mixing of semi solid? Triple roller mill. Triple roller mill. Triple means 3 roller. How many rollers are there in the, how many rollers are there? 3 rollers in totally in mill. Okay, which principle used in mixing of semi solids equipment? Which principle involved? High shear, which causes crushing of aggregates particles and distributes the drug uniformly throughout the semi solid base. It consists of 3 parallel rollers of equal diameters made upon stainless steel. Stainless steel. What uses of mixing of semi-solid equipment in triple roller mill? What uses of triple roller mill? Mixing of solid powders in ointment base. Solid powders and ointment base. Okay. This is called mixing of semi-solids in equipment in triple roller mill. Okay, triple roller mill. Okay, this is called totally homogenizations and mixing. Okay, homogenization of, this is a mixing. Okay, and beginning stage in one by one discussed and deeply in one time. Okay, definition, application of mixing. Okay, next one, positive mixers or negative mixer and neutral mixers. Next one, types of mixings, solid to solid mixing, liquid to liquid mixing, mixing of immiscible liquids and solid liquid mixing. Next one, solid to solid mixing, how to, and solid to solid mixing instruments are liquid to liquid mixing instruments and mixing of semi solid instruments. These are all instruments used in pharmaceutical industry. Okay, next, instrument, twin shell blender in V cone blender, double cone blender, ribbon blender, sigma blade mixer, planetary mixer, zigzag continuous blender, burr type continuous mixer. Next one, liquid to liquid mixing equipments, hair jet mixer, silver mixer emulsifier, ultrasonic emulsifiers and radiosonic homogenizer. See the next one, mixing of semi solids equipments in triple roller mill. This is all mixing an intermediate stage of the preparation of several dosage forms helpful in these instruments, and mixing of feed, it's helpful of all instruments in pharmaceutical industry role. Okay, thank you everyone. Please like, share, subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you everyone.